Hi, we are about to read the article about the extraordinary extracranial life of Mike. Our story begins in the fall of 1945. Lloyd Olson and his wife ran a small family farm in Fruita, Colorado. Among other things, the Olson farm specialized in chickens. It was Lloyd Olson's routine once a week to behead a batch of birds with an axe. Behead means take their head off. Then load the carcasses on his wagon for delivery to the meat market the next morning. On the fateful day of September 10th, things didn't go quite as planned. Not for Olson, and certainly not for the plump 2.5-pound chicken who was earmarked to be the next day's dinner. Just like every Monday, Olson raised the axe. Just like every Monday, the blade fell. Now, it's not uncommon for a chicken to continue running around for a bit after its head is chopped off. So when the feisty bird kept gamboling around, the farmer knew it wasn't too the farmer probably wasn't too surprised. He relegated the headless body to an apple crate on the porch and went to bed for the night. The next morning, though, Olson was in shock because the chicken was still alive. And there's a picture of Olson and the chicken, Mike. It had no head, but it was very clearly not dead. What happened? It turned out that Olson's axe had missed the bird's jugular vein, so the blood clotted and the flow stopped quickly. The axe had missed severing the brain stem, and with that organ intact, the chicken became known as Mike, and he was able to maintain much of his behavior. He began pecking at the ground for food with his newly minted stump and made preening motions as if to clean himself. His crows had become throaty gurgles, reported the journal Scientific America in its 2014 feature of the fated fowl. And this tells us here, it talked about the jugular vein, and it says the jugular vein is the main blood vessel in the neck or throat, and the brain stem is the lower part of the brain that manages things like breathing, swallowing, and consciousness. In the fate of this tenacity, you might not be surprised at what Olson decided to do next. Armed with an eyedropper, the man set about the task of helping Mike stay alive, painstakingly delivering water, milk, and even tiny corn kernels directly into the bird's esophagus. And it says here, esophagus is the channel linking the throat to the stomach. The result? Mike not only lived, but thrived. At the University of Utah, Mike was poked and prodded and finally given a clean bill of health. Against all odds, he lived on. Over the next 18 months, in fact, Mike nearly quadrupled his body weight. And the word quadrupled means it went up 4 times. To a beefy 8 pounds, Mike would go on to be featured in Time and Life magazines, and he even made the Guinness Book of World Records. Can you guess for what? Spurred on by flocks of incredulous inquiries, Lloyd Olson decided to take his miracle chicken on the road. On the sideshow circuit, the Olsons and Mike traveled from their hometown in Colorado through California, Arizona, New York, and beyond, where people of all ages could pay 25 cents to see Mike the Miracle Chicken. Eventually, of course, Mike did meet his end, but his legacy lives on in the annual Mike the Headless Chicken Festival, held on the first weekend of June, and in the 4-foot-high sculpture of Mike that was installed in downtown Fruita in early 2000s. More than 70 years later, the curious and thunderstruck alike still remember this noble bird who exchanged a quick trip to the platter for a blazing streak of national fame. And there we've got a picture, a drawing of Mike going for the gold, and our drawing of poor headless Mike. That is the end of the tale of the headless chicken.